Thank you for allowing me to share some thoughts relating to an upcoming event. These days, nearly every evening news broadcast has a moment when the anchor looks into the camera and solemnly states, "We warn our viewers, the images we are about to share may be disturbing." I'm sharing that warning with you now. As part of Hobart's Run's mission, we run a tool share, which loans cleanup tools to various civic organizations. And we routinely roll up our sleeves to lead and participate in local litter cleanups. But, and here's that "what you see may be disturbing" alert. When I volunteered to help clean up an area that had been used by about 40 homeless people as a campsite, I was not prepared for what I'd encounter. The group of 50 helpers mustered on a cold, drizzly Saturday on the shoulder of College Drive near the community college in Pottstown. Armed with Hobart's Run shovels, rakes, bags, and work gloves, we walked as directed by the lead volunteers through a narrow, foot-worn path up a hill and into the woods. Other volunteers followed with front-end loaders and four-wheelers with carts. Now, remember, I'm not a trash cleanup novice, right? But what I saw in the woods took my breath away. Yes, the image was disturbing, but it came without much warning. Imagine stumbling upon a football field-sized area, studded by trees and blanketed in trash. Most of us stood dumbfounded, muttering, "Where do we even begin?" Shredded plastic tarps hung over tree limbs. Dilapidated sections of tents sank crumpled in the mud. Piles of wet blankets and torn, unwearable clothes. Empty soup and tuna cans, bread and fast food and granola bar wrappers, juice cartons, hand sanitizer dispensers, rusty cooking pans, small propane tanks. I picked up soggy Bibles, a book of essays by Anna Quindlen, one of my favorite writers, a dog-eared study guide for the high school diploma equivalency exam. There were surprisingly few liquor bottles, which I mention because many people assume that most homeless people are alcoholics or addicts. But yes, there were some beer bottles and some used needles. I collected muck-caked stuffed animals, toy cars, and small dolls. Children had been living here. We wordlessly picked up used women's sanitary products, for the most part painstakingly wrapped and gathered in grocery bags. We used shovels to lift and transport soiled adult diapers, apparently worn as alternatives to the humiliation of relieving oneself in the woods among strangers. Yes, we stepped very carefully among the debris. At one point, I awkwardly introduced myself and exchanged pleasantries with a woman working near me. She said, "You know, my husband asked me this morning why I was going to go pick up other people's garbage with a bunch of strangers just because I saw a Facebook request for help. To be honest, I didn't know what to say. But," she continued, gesturing, "I now know that the people here doing this are the type of people I want to hang out with." Somehow, after hours of nonstop work, the area looked relatively clean. Countless hefty bags had been lugged to the carts, towed out of the woods, and stacked to overflowing in a dumpster that had been donated and placed by the road. Remember, there's no weekly trash collection in the woods or along the side of the highway. And when you are homeless and told you must move along, you need to carry your possessions with you, leaving what you cannot carry behind. This story is not over. This problem still exists in Pottstown. Most of the folks chased from that site did not simply leave the Pottstown area. In many cases, Pottstown is their home. More camps appear, including one a block from our Hobart's Run neighborhood, located behind the Pottstown Public Library. And more cleanups are organized. There is vitriolic debate across our country, still one of the wealthiest in the world, about why people become homeless and what to do about it. I'm certainly not an expert, but I am certain that most unhoused people do not choose to live in the disturbing circumstances I've described. A few days before Christmas, I went to Walmart and filled a cart with wool socks. As I joined a checkout line, a woman behind me smiled and said, "Wow, that is a lot of socks." I smiled back and told her they'd be distributed to the needy that night at a dinner organized by several nonprofits, including Hobart's Run. Her smile slithered into a sneer. "You shouldn't be doing that," she yelled. "Those people don't deserve socks." She continued, louder, looking around to make sure others were noticing. "They're lazy, convicts and druggies. They won't work. They're pigs. You bail them out by buying socks and food, and you make it worse for the rest of us who actually live in this town." I bit my tongue. I wanted to tell her that many homeless people became so when they experienced a downhill spiral sparked by some tragedy, a lost job, or domestic violence, or expensive family illness. That some do need rehab, but that doesn't mean they're lazy or vicious. That some are employed, but to get and keep a job, you need to be able to take a shower and show up in clean clothes. Impatient holiday shoppers were still waiting in the line. I looked at the woman and said only, "They are human beings. And ma'am," I added as sarcastically as possible, "you can go and have yourself a merry little Christmas." At the dinner that night, volunteers served turkey and potatoes to a room full of guests, from children to old folks. Ms. Fisher of Hobart's Run and I offered attendees donated, gently used coats and the socks. Every single guest thanked us. Some gave us hugs or cried. Nearly all wished us, the volunteers, a happy holiday without a trace of irony in their voices. So, which one of these images is most disturbing to you? Are you disturbed by images of volunteers shoveling filth and foul trash into garbage bags and dumpsters? Or by an unkempt man hungrily accepting free food and wool socks? Or are you more disturbed by the picture of the clean, decently clad Walmart shopper? Who would you rather hang out with? In Today on the Hill, you'll see notices regarding the Coldest Night of the Year fundraiser and community walk on Saturday, February 24th. And you've heard about this from Harry Whaley and Anders Mortensen. All contributions benefit Beacon of Hope, led by Mr. Tom Narrows, who used to be homeless. On the darkest night of Tom's life, as he fought drug withdrawal symptoms, he vowed that if he made it to morning, he would stay sober and devote his life to helping people in similar situations. Tom made it through the night, and he's keeping his promise. Those who find their way to Beacon of Hope's temporary church shelters receive a hot meal cooked by volunteers, a cot, a blanket, and a pillow for the night. They must leave during the day, according to borough ordinances. Since November, beds have already been filled more than 1,800 times. Fortunately, with the help of Beacon of Hope staff, 11 people have transitioned to stable housing. Beacon of Hope is working to open a permanent, year-round, all-day shelter that will allow unhoused people better access to showers, medical care, job training, counseling, and eventually a home. If everyone here at Hill would give a few dollars to the Hobart's Helpers Coldest Night team, we can meet, and I hope exceed, our team's modest $2,000 pledge toward Beacon of Hope's aspirations. Our team welcomes Hill students, parents, faculty, families, and staff. Unpleasant, disturbing realities won't improve by averting our eyes or assuming others will clean up the mess. It's unlikely any of us will ever sleep beneath a torn plastic tarp, or depend upon donated food, or wish for nothing more than dry, clean socks, or pray to survive a chilly night. Yes, we can look away from disturbing images rather than see them, or smell them, or touch them. Or, despite the warning, and despite our privilege, or maybe because of it, we can walk the walk. We can see ourselves as people who can make a positive impact even in dreadful situations. Please consider joining Hobart's Helpers in some capacity if you can. Thank you.